You, Rhiannon.
Awesome. I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
Yay. Guys, I'm really excited. Number one, I absolutely love doing webinars with Nature's Fair. You guys are like the best audience to do this with because you always have so many questions. I have the chat box open right now, so I'll kind of keep an eye on what all the questions are coming in. But please, like Haley had said, if you have anything throughout it, like don't hesitate, don't wait until the end, just pop them right in there because we'll get through them eventually. But today I'm really passionate about detoxification. I'm going to be honest, I do a lot of webinars and I usually say I'm super passionate about whatever the topic is. I just love health, but I really do love detoxification because there's so many things about it and so many myths that exist nowadays about how to detox. You see so much on social media and it gets really confusing. So what we wanted to do today is really dive into what detoxification is in your body and ways that you can do it that don't feel intense and don't feel unnatural for you. So we're going to kind of go through all of that. We're going to go through food. We're going to go through supplements. We're going to go through lifestyle. So you get the whole spectrum and figuring out what works best for you. So I'm just going to dive right in on this one. And first off, give a huge thank you to Nature's Fair. Like I said, I love doing these webinars with you guys. You are absolutely amazing and so engaged the whole time. So again, huge thank you. And hopefully eventually one day we'll be doing these in person and we can see you all in real life. And a little bit about Organica. I personally love having this conversation because I've actually worked with Organica in two different ways. Number one, I worked in-house with them. I did some of their social media. I helped with a bit of education. And then when I went off and spread my wings and practiced full-time as a holistic nutritionist at Integrative, as Haley had mentioned, they're very supportive and clearly very supportive enough to have me back and doing a lot more education with them while I work at the clinic as well. So Organica, if you don't know about Organica, we're a natural wellness and beauty company from beautiful BC. It is actually just on either side of the Knight Street Bridge if you know that area well enough, and been helping people live healthier for 30 years, actually just over 30 years now, because we celebrated 30 years in 2020. And don't know if you guys know, but that's about a week behind us now. And that's all in the past now. Let's just forget that ever happened. About me, I won't dive into it too much because there was a good sum up at the very beginning. Really, I love helping people feel better. I focus a lot on hormones, energy, mental health. The best part of this is all of those things rely on detoxification. Detox becomes so important for every spectrum of our body. So you guys are all in a great place right now. I like to educate people on how to feel great. So one thing that I try to do for most of my clients is find a common ground somewhere in the middle of where they're at and where we need them to be and work on it. There are obviously certain occasions where we need to do things a little bit more intensely, and I'll touch on those a little bit in this presentation. And then along with that, I co-host the Enhanced Life with Organica's CEO, Erin Chin. You guys want to check it out. It's on Spotify, iTunes, all the things, wherever you listen to a podcast. They're quick. They're about 30 minutes each at most. Try to keep it easy to listen to and nice and light. Another quick note before I really dive into the topic here, everything in it references images, products, claims, are all for informational purposes only. So make sure that you're consulting your medical professional for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. That also goes to say, like, if you have a question that's a very personal question that you're asking in the chat and you're looking for recommendations, I can't necessarily answer anything right now because usually I need a lot more background information depending on what the topic is that you're looking for more assistance with. But I will try my best with the information that I have. It might just be a little bit more general than I want to give you. So what is detox? This is the thing that we're going to dive into first. Let's lay that foundation. Let's get through those myths of what you think it is or what you've heard it is, and really dive into what happens in our body. So it's really just our natural system to eliminate waste. And that's a variety of types of waste, whether or not it is toxins from coming in from the atmosphere, or whether or not it is food that we're trying to eliminate the stuff that we didn't need and having that as a bowel movement. So there's so many different areas. We have three main or primary detoxification organs: liver, kidneys, and colon. I'm really going to be talking today about liver and kidneys, or sorry, liver and your colon. And I'm not really going to talk about your lungs or your skin, but they can also act as a detoxification organs. One thing I notice the most when we talk about our skin, if anything else is off, and a lot of you guys might be able to relate to this as soon as I say it. If you are, for example, I'll give you a client example of mine. One of my clients deals with constipation, and when she has dairy, she'll be more constipated. When that happens, she ends up breaking out. And then as soon as she cuts out the dairy, as soon as bowel movements start on a more regular basis, everything is cleared out.
There's two of us on.
Oh, your mic's
on. So make sure that, if you're noticing that you're breaking out and you're also seeing that you're a little bit more constipated, that might mean that something else is happening as well. So you can usually tell from your skin if there's elimination isn't working properly in other areas of your body. So what is not detox? And this is a big thing that I want to clarify here. Detoxification is not a quick fix for weight loss, a strategy that needs to feel intense, restrictive, or prolonged that is without guidance from a healthcare practitioner. It is definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach, and it is not something that should make you feel ill for a long period of time. Now, let's dive into each of these points. Number one, it is not a quick fix for weight loss. How many people here have probably seen, on social media or on advertisements, teas that are for detoxification, and you need to have this one tea and it's a skinny tox, or they have these names that just combine weight loss and detoxification. Yes, detox and weight loss do go hand in hand, but it does not mean that it's not a quick fix. Doing a detoxification for quick weight loss usually leads to a little bit more restriction long-term and can actually be a little bit more detrimental to our health. It's not a strategy that needs to be intense, restrictive, or prolonged without guidance from a healthcare practitioner. Now, the thing is, when we have a healthcare practitioner usually involved, that means that these detoxification or cleansing methods that we're doing are serving a purpose. So there are some times where, yes, I do like a really intense detoxification program with a client, and that's because there's a lot of other health issues going on. It's not something that's simple. It's usually a lot of, it's basically a storm of health issues that are happening. Again, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Something that's good for you is not going to be good for someone else. It shouldn't be something that makes you feel ill for a long period of time. So there are some times, and again, depending on the type of detoxification that you're doing. So if you're working with a healthcare practitioner and you're maybe not feeling your best for a few days, maybe you're feeling a little bit more fluish, that's sometimes normal, but it shouldn't happen for more than the first few days of you doing the detox. And that's usually when you're doing something a little bit too intense for your body at that time. Now, again, it can look a little bit different for each person. So again, if you're doing something prolonged or intense, please see a healthcare practitioner. If you're doing any kind of fasting, if you were like long-term fasting, if you're doing that, work with a health coach or work with a naturopath, work with someone else who knows what they're doing. If you're trying to do any kind of long-term like water fast, even a long-term juice cleanse, bone broth cleanse, whatever it's looking like, try to talk to somebody, especially if you have some other health conditions. So why does detoxification even matter? Our whole body, literally like everything, head to toe, relies on good pathways of elimination. Our hormone health, our digestive system, our energy, our weight, our immune health, our chronic illnesses, skin health. I already talked about the skin health, but our hormone health. If our liver is congested, so many of my clients nowadays I'm seeing come in, and I'll talk about this in the sense of at Integrative, there's a food sensitivity test that we do, and within that food sensitivity test, you actually, I get a scope of which organs are the most under fire, basically, the ones that are the most inflamed at the time. The number of people that are coming in that are having hormone-related issues, and their liver health is their liver is dealing with the most problems. That is the most common thing that I'm seeing come in. And that's because we're dealing with a lot of congestion in our liver. And then that's impacting things like our ability to process out any of those extra hormones that maybe are out of balance and out of whack, and then they're recirculating in our body. Our digestion, clearly if our colon is a huge organ of elimination, we're going to see some issues pop up if our digestion is not going well or if our elimination part isn't going well. Energy. I think this goes without saying. If we're not having regular bowel movements, if our liver is under the weather, I don't know if you guys have ever, like, I went to university at one point and would go on, a longer weekend of drinking maybe a little bit more than I should. And that week I was wiped. Couldn't imagine doing that now. But I think we all know what it feels like to know when our liver's congested and feel that energy drop. Like I mentioned before, weight and detoxification do go hand in hand. However, detoxification is not the only way to help you manage weight. Immune health, I think everyone cares about their immune health right now, and it's really important to make sure everything's working properly. So we're absorbing the right nutrients. So we're making sure we're getting rid of any excess toxins and we're not wasting energy on fighting stuff that we don't have to fight. Chronic illness. So we see a lot of chronic illness is dependent on our proper elimination in our younger years. And again, skin health, I already talked about that one. So why might I not be detoxifying properly? So this is an area that I wanted to chat about because, again, we see on social media a lot too, there's kind of two camps. People who are, that skinny talks kind of tea or recipe or elixir or whatever, and, you drink that for 3 days. But then you also have a lot of people that say, like, no, you don't need to do anything for your body because your body does its own detox. Clearly, like I mentioned, yes, we have major organs of elimination. But part of the problem is that historically, these organs have never dealt with the influx of toxins, of chemicals, of, bowel issues that we have in the past. Our diets are completely different than they were for our grandparents, our great-grandparents. If we look back at the caveman era, like, our diets have completely changed, but it doesn't mean that our organs have necessarily caught up to that. That takes thousands of years to get to where we need to be eating today. So the problem that we're seeing is that we're using these beauty products that have chemicals in them, literally putting stuff right onto our skin. We're eating food that's coming out of plastic. We're cutting things on plastic cutting boards, and that's getting into our food, that's getting into our system. Pollution, of course, we all know that that's a thing. I don't think you would be here today if you didn't realize that pollution was a problem. Alcohol use, we all know that impact on our liver health. Pesticides. There's so many pesticides that are out there nowadays that we're now finding out are a huge impact on our hormone health because it's impacting our liver health. So another piece is that improper digestion is really starting to cause problems, more so either constipation or loose stools, and people are not eliminating properly, so they're not having good bowel movements. High-fat diets are also impairing the function of our liver and our gallbladder, so we're seeing issues with our bile production as well. And one thing that I really like to talk about, and I think it's very interesting, and this is based in traditional Chinese medicine, the liver is known as a site of suppressed anger. So what we're seeing is a lot of liver stagnancy, and I think we're just getting in a society that's more angry and more stressed, and we're putting it all away and we're hiding it. So, and we're seeing so much more come up in our liver. So another way to kind of think about this is, if you don't think you can change the things that I have listed here, if you can't change your cleaning products, your beauty products, the plastic use, can you maybe try to suppress the anger a little less? Can you open your voice? Can you speak out a little bit more? Or can you find some more mindful practices? This is just like something to kind of think about. It's not necessarily that's going to be the be all and end all. There's definitely a huge component to it, but it's really interesting just to realize that there's a lot of emotion that's correlated to different body parts. So continuing on, lack of good regular bowel movements, like I had already mentioned. So this can be because of things like high consumption of sugars and other inflammatory foods that can impact our gut microbiome. High stress lifestyle impairs our body's ability to digest food. If we are not digesting food properly, we're not absorbing the right nutrients, we're not having those good bowel movements, like I mentioned. A lot of people are dealing with low fiber diets, and then a lack of water and increased dehydration. So I'm not going to ask you guys to raise your hands here, but I have a funny feeling that there's a lot of people out there that are probably not getting a good enough water intake every day. And If you think you are and you're still having problems with bowel movements, one suggestion I'd give you, swap over to hot water, especially this time of year. If you can use hot water, or at least like lukewarm, that drinkable heat, that's a really great option for you and really helps to get those bowel movements going. You should be having 1 to 3 bowel movements daily, and they should be shaped like a banana. So if you are having anything outside of that on a regular basis, could be time to talk to somebody. I'm very passionate about bowel movements, guys. It's kind of weird, but like it's so important. It's funny how much I ignored them as a child, and now it's like the only thing I talk about. I think every single client of mine can tell me as soon as they see me again, they give me an update on their bowel movement. So it's really important. It tells you a lot about somebody. So what are some foods that you should be consuming to support your detoxification? You really want to be consuming a lot of foods that can support your bile production. And these are also some that are essential for your liver. So I'm a huge fan of like brassica veggies, cruciferous veggies. So these are things like cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. These are all also wonderful because they have something called indole 3-carbinol. You can also get those in supplement forms, but I always say, if you can grab it from food, that's a great place to start. At this time in our life, really, like I think a lot of us probably know that farming practices aren't like they were years ago, so we're not necessarily getting as many vitamins and minerals. Sometimes it is important, depending on your situation, to add in an additional supplement, and that's something, again, you can talk to your healthcare practitioner about. But yeah, cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, so those are my go-tos. Dark leafy greens, absolutely love these. The more bitter, the better. Kale, Swiss chard, arugula, dandelion greens. The dandelion greens are obviously something that sometimes it takes a little bit to get used to them. I'm a big fan of just a lot of lemon and garlic. Toss that all in together, cook them up nicely, or even chop them and put them in a salad. And then those are really great because they have that bitterness and they're going to help with bile production. They're going to help get those digestive juices flowing. Bitter vegetables and herbs, so radicchio, bitter melon, cranberries, dark chocolate, all great things to be including. So this is my go for it, eat the bar of dark chocolate, the darker the better. Apple cider vinegar, coffee, obviously in moderation. And I put that in there because I know that there's a lot of coffee lovers out there. If you can cut it out, great. But if you can't, it's a great bitter food and something that you can add in. And a lot of teas. One thing I would really suggest for you, if you know that you are having issues with breaking down your food, or you know that you are not having really good bowel movements, or you're having a lot of stomach issues after you are done eating, look into having some of these more bitter foods prior to your full meal. That's a lot of things that we'll see in traditional cultures is they'll actually have more of those bitter foods beforehand. If you can't do a bitter food, digestive bitters work really well. I'm sure Nature's Fair does have some of those as well. Just little things that you put in your water. So foods to consume to support our detoxification. We want to continue this on because this conversation is a very long one. We want to make sure that we're supporting our better bowel movements. So we want vegetables, berries, apples, ancient grains, fermented food, and water. I already mentioned the water thing, but if you're looking at things like apples are really important because they actually have something called pectin, and pectin helps with the good fiber in our gut, helping to feed that good gut bacteria. When I say ancient grains, I basically mean everything but whole grains. So I'm not talking about like whole wheat or regular wheat, like anything outside of that scope. Those ones are really good. Again, they have that great fiber in it. Fermented foods, sauerkraut, kefir, even like, true pickled pickles. What are some of my other favorites? Tempeh is another favorite. Did I say kimchi? I can't remember. But if you're doing the kimchi and the sauerkraut, make sure you're getting them from the refrigerated section. A fun thing you can do to check your bowel movements. This is called your transit time. This is how you find out how quickly your food's actually moving through your body. And ideally, you want your food to move through your body in about 12 to 18 hours. So what you can do is you can actually take a cup of red beets, not the golden ones. They won't tell you anything. Eat a cup of red beets, and within an hour or within 12 to 18 hours, your stool should be a nice bright red. If it is not, again, could be time to talk to somebody. It's actually a really fun experiment. Fun experiment. Fun for me. I think it's great. I love getting my clients to do that one. So foods you should avoid for good detox. And this, again, like I said, this is not like an intensified detox. This is stuff that you can do all year round. So this is stuff that you can start implementing now and still be doing come September. This is not something that needs to have a start and an end date. Things like refined sugar, taking those out because those are going to impact our colon. They're going to impact our gut microbiome. It's going to cause inflammation in the rest of our body, and it's going to impair our body's ability to detox everywhere. Simple carbohydrates, again, white flour, processed grains. These, again, are huge indicators for poor gut microbiome. They can increase the bad bacteria that live in our gut, and again, cause inflammation through the rest of our body, causing things like leaky gut, especially for people that have gluten sensitivity. So there's always that issue there. Poor quality fats. And when we say fats, we're talking deep fried foods, vegetable oils, a lot of those processed foods. Those ones, especially if you look at the back of your, if you buy any kind of processed food, any freezer foods, anything that needs to be like is already pre-made and cooked, double check that you're reading the back and read what kind of oils are in there. Usually I'm wanting my clients to go for things like olive oil, put it on everything. Put that, it's like the Frank's Red Hot commercial. Put that on everything. Avocado oil for cooking, coconut oil, those things are all really great for you. Excessive alcohol, that is obviously, we all know how that's going to impair our liver function, and then reducing our dairy consumption, because overall that actually can impair our gut microbiome, also causing inflammation throughout our whole body. And then our body can't necessarily process, especially cow's dairy, as well as it can other forms. So if we're looking at like goats and sheep, I find that one works a little bit better if you can't cut the cheese. Sorry guys, I didn't mean it to say it like that, but you catch my drift. I wasn't going for that one thing. So supplements that we can use to help naturally detoxify. Again, I love a lot of these supplements because they're things that I recommend to my clients to take. You don't need to take them for a short time and have it be really intense, but these are things you can be taking for a longer term. They're not a forever thing, but you can take them for a longer term. I personally love NAC. I take it often, and acetylcysteine. I take it very often because I love to love my liver. Our liver, like I said, it does so much for you. It's so important for your overall hormone health, especially. So important. So it's a precursor for something called glutathione. You can take glutathione directly, but I always find making sure that we have the right building blocks is very important. And that's why we want to make sure we always have the right building blocks for everything in our body, because then our body usually knows how to make it. What's usually missing are those building blocks. So again, that glutathione is very important for our liver function, for our liver's ability to do really good detox. S-adenosyl L-methionine has been shown to also support our liver function. So that's another one that's absolutely amazing. Pycnogenol, that's also pine bark. It's very high in antioxidants, and it helps to reduce kidney damage, or it's been shown to help reduce kidney damage. I really like this one because anything high in antioxidants is also great for our overall body. So if we're not just talking about liver detoxification, we're looking at overall body health. So when we're looking at that pycnogenol, we're looking at kind of that whole spectrum. Milk thistle, again, that's one of also my true loves. I think it was one of the first Organica products I had ever taken before I even started working for them or knew anything about Organica. I just saw the bottle and I was like, this looks good. And it actually has been shown to have protective effects on the liver. So rather than it actually helping with that detoxification process, it helps to protect the liver. And that's obviously important, because if we're wanting more liver protection, that's going to help it do its job later on. Oh, I can't use the arrows on this, I forgot. Okay, a couple more supplements that I really do like. Chlorella. Chlorella I actually recommend to a lot of clients when we're looking at doing a heavy metal detox. So again, it is something that you can, if you're taking it as a tablet, you can take it as a powdered form. you have both of those options. If you're taking it as a powdered form, usually it's a little bit easier for people because you can just like toss it into a smoothie. Potency wise, you have a bit more control over that. So if you don't need something super strong, you can always pop it into a little powder version into your smoothie and just let your body get a little bit used to it first. This is especially important for those people if you work in an environment where you know that you're exposed to heavy metals on a regular basis. Adding in something like chlorella that is that heavy metal detox supplement that isn't too intense and isn't going to take a toll on your body on a daily basis, but really help to push stuff out. Chlorella is a really great one for that. It's one of my favorite, again, another top favorite. Activated charcoal. A lot of people will actually use this for food poisoning. So I usually will recommend it to my clients if they've had something that is one of their, on their list of food sensitivities that cause issues, having some activated charcoal. It's a really used for more of that heavy detoxification. So this activated charcoal is not something you want to use on a daily basis. It is something that you want to use more in those as needed times. And I would usually pair that, take an activated charcoal, wait about 8 hours, and then take something like a really high dose multivitamin if you have one, or just make yourself a really good smoothie with a bunch of nutrients. Because the one downside of charcoal is sometimes it can actually pull out. It can pull out the additional vitamins and minerals in your body. It doesn't really know good from bad. It just takes out everything. So like I said, add something in a couple hours later. Say you take activated charcoal before bed, make sure when you wake up, you have a nice nutrient-dense smoothie to get everything kind of back into your body. Plant-based collagen booster. This is one I really like to talk about because you can actually add that into your nutrient-dense smoothie that you're recalibrating your body with. You can use it for daily detoxification. So it has so many antioxidants in it. It has one called astaxanthin. And that's actually, it's really high in antioxidants. It has, I can't remember the potency, but it's like 3 times or like something times more potent than vitamin C as an antioxidant. So it's a really good combination to be adding into a smoothie. Again, it's something that you can add in every day. Plus it helps, it gives your body those building blocks to build the collagen in there too. So, bonus points for it. A couple additional tips and tricks. These are things that you can add to your life every day. Like I said, and I've mentioned already a couple times, this presentation is not to tell you how to do a 1 week, 2 week, 1 month intense detox. It's talking about ways that we can be adding detoxification into our daily lives to keep everything working, and make sure that we're giving the love to those detox organs that I talked about. Get outdoors, exercise and sweat. Take inventory of those beauty products that I talked about. Are your beauty products natural, or is it something that you need to start swapping them out? Try to swap out plastics, especially in your kitchenware. You can swap out the Tupperware, even like, your spatula and things like that. Are you using plastic? Because you're heating that up automatically whenever you're using that. So swapping that out for something that's more metal, really good option for you too. Swapping over to green cleaning products. My favorite is just vinegar and water. And then go organic when and if you can. Like I mentioned, pesticide use is so strongly linked to congestion in our liver and that overload of toxins in our body. So if you can go organic, it's going to help do wonders. Now I have a couple recipes for you. I think we do have, yes. So there are 2 files that have been downloaded, and you can download them. They're going to be these recipes here. So I have 2. They're both using that plant-based collagen booster. So it gives you a nice little recipe card that you can keep, try out different ways to use it, and then let us know how you like them. So these are, again, say one night you take that activated charcoal after you had a little bit of a meal, maybe, it caused a little bit of issues for you. Take that activated charcoal, try one of these smoothies the next morning. I hope you don't have to. That wouldn't feel very nice, but just in case. We have raspberry lemonade as well as a smoothie. This one's actually also really nice for the summertime, and I think all of us are, just fingers crossed that it's coming soon. And as Haley had mentioned in the beginning, you can grab any of the products that we had talked about today, plus whatever, when you get your little discount card. I think coming, she said tomorrow, I think you're getting an email for it. So have all that for you. And now it's kind of time for questions. I hope everyone had a good time. I hope you all enjoyed yourself and learned some stuff from this.
Yeah, that was fantastic, Rhiannon. Thank you. There's been a lot of great questions pouring in.
Scene.
Just to reference those recipe cards, we did just make the files downloadable so people can download them and save them and have them for when they'd like to try them out. So I would like to start here, I think, with a few questions around kind of the bowel movements and a few things that came up when you were discussing that and kind of measuring how your body is naturally detoxing. Someone had asked if your gallbladder has been removed, is this of more importance in your kind of routine?
Yeah. So usually for people who are who have their gallbladder removed, if you are not plant-based and you don't mind having an animal product, I don't know if you guys carry it, Haley. I feel like you probably will, but ox bile or a digestive enzyme that contains ox bile is kind of that number one that I would go with. But if you are plant-based, there's definitely alternatives, and you want to look for something that has lipase in it.
There we go.
So it'll help with breaking down the fat.
Great question. And then obviously, similarly, if you're struggling with IBS or have any issues in that system, would detox you
It can. I would say the first thing you want to do is, if you are struggling with IBS, is maybe try to narrow down exactly what is causing it. So sometimes if we go to a doctor, we get the blanket statement of I have IBS and that's about it. And then you're kind of given almost not a death sentence, but it's like, that's it, bye. But I usually try to suggest people, like, if you can, depending on what it looks like, either try to see a nutritionist or a holistic nutritionist or a naturopath who can actually do more testing and help you figure out specifically what it is and what kind of detox or what kind of diet is going to be best for you to try to get everything back into balance.
And that goes for all of the kind of symptoms that come along with that, whether it's bloating or gas or irregular BMs. There could be so many layers as to why that's happening.
Totally. Yeah. And it could be both ends of the spectrum. So I have clients that come in that, even though they maybe have they're diagnosed with the same condition, they're presenting like two different symptoms. So, the classic look of one thing might be different for you. So it's always nice to just, if you have the means, to get tested.
Okay, great. Some great questions around like some of the food you mentioned and how incorporating them in your diet can help with this natural detox. When you're talking about chocolate, can you get a little bit more specific? They're asking, are you talking about just like any chocolate bar, or is it raw cacao? What kind of chocolate would you recommend?
I would say, like, on a spectrum, let's go from like the top down. So like number one would definitely be cacao. If you can add that into something, that would be excellent. But I know not everyone has that. So then next up would be like 100% dark chocolate, and then we kind of work our way down. So, I'm not going to say having a Snickers. There we go. That's it. Clearly, I don't eat the chocolate bar. It was my favorite when I was younger, though. Snickers or Kit Kat, like, that's not going to help you at all. But if you're having at least like 70+% dark chocolate, you'll see more benefits. The more it goes up, the more bitter, the better.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good way to remember. Bitter is better.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in that same conversation around food, there were some thoughts around cooking oils, and would you recommend an olive oil over an avocado oil, that kind of thing?
Olive oil, use it post-cooking. Avocado oil, use it for cooking and frying. So basically anything, if you are doing high heat cooking, stick with the avocado oil. And then use olive oil afterward, because olive oil can get carcinogenic pretty quickly. It cooks really at a low temperature. So usually I just tell people, once you're done your food or once you're done making everything, drizzle with olive oil with pasta, salads, like if you're doing a stir fry, any of that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. And you had mentioned ancient grains. Can you give some examples of some nice complementary grains?
Yeah. So you can kind of go anything really there. Like my general consensus of that was just don't go for whole wheat or even like whole grain kind of thing. Or sorry, not whole grain, but whole wheat or regular wheat. But if you're going for even like a brown rice, that's going to be a better option for you. Quinoa is a great option. You can do like amaranth, barley, buckwheat, bulgur. Those are all some like ones that I really like. Freekeh is another one that I really like. Oh, I feel like I'm drawing a mind blank now. I just spit off a couple, but yeah, those ones are pretty easily found, to be honest. So
Yeah,
you shouldn't have issues with that. Even oats. Oats are a really great one to include too. Yeah.
totally. Okay, great. And then with, if you're looking, say, at incorporating still some sweeteners, there were some questions around maple syrup. Would that be a good option as an alternative to sugar, I guess?
Totally. Yeah. I usually tell people if you can go natural, that's excellent. Honey is a really good one as well because honey has been shown to have so many immune supportive properties to it. So that's another great option you can do there too.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And now in the dairy world, someone said reducing is a bit subjective. Could you elaborate on that? And I think
Yeah.
really, if you're eating a block of cheese a day, reducing it would probably be like cutting that back severely. But if you only have little bits of dairy here and there, then it would all work out to what your normal is.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I can't even say that. And again, it also depends on what your stomach is looking like. Like if your gut is completely demolished and you are having poor bowel movements and you are bloating all the time, reducing would probably look like we're cutting it out completely. But if someone is, thriving and they're feeling decent, but every once in a while they have some digestive upset, okay, maybe let's actually cut that back. If you're having it at celebrations or you come home and you have a little cube of cheese and it's not causing you any crazy issues, okay, fine. And we're cutting out some other things, fine. So it's really, again, it's hard because again, it is subjective. And like I said in the beginning, everyone's so different. So that's why even if we're talking about personal questions, sometimes I'm like, I can't answer that because I need more. So in that case, reducing is very subjective until I know your full diet.
Totally. And it did come up. I mentioned that someone had asked, would yogurt be included with dairy? And I said yes. And that we do have a lot of great like coconut based ones in store. Someone chimed in and said that there's a brand called Yogu that we recently got in that is a dairy free alternative. So yeah.
So good. I'm literally addicted to that stuff.
Yogurt, that would be my recommendation as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then in the dairy world, if you were reducing it, would like something like grass fed when you are enjoying some dairy be a better option?
Yes, 100%. Always when you are doing dairy, if you can do the grass fed, that's going to be a better option. Organic, all the good words that you see out there, always going to be a better option. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. And then some questions on supplementation. So if someone's making smoothies, like be adding protein to that every time they're building a smoothie, is that a good idea?
100%. I am very much a big proponent of having protein, and protein is actually a big component of good liver health as well. So your liver does need protein in order to properly detoxify. So I would say like personal preference, collagen. Am I biased and put enhanced collagen in my smoothies all the time? Yes. So I usually say if you can pop in something like a good protein powder that you're normally going for, I do collagen purely because I just don't like the taste of a lot of protein powders and I find it doesn't have anything in there. So it's really up to you. But yeah, definitely always adding a protein because it helps to regulate your blood sugar. And that's a whole other topic of conversation. That would be an entire webinar all on its own, at least for me. I could talk about it forever. But making sure that, adding some kind of protein, I usually say 20 to 30 grams if it's a meal, especially.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. In still in the supplement kind of questions, are the Organica products non-GMO verified?
Yes. So everything will always have a label on it. So we have, if it's gluten-free, nut-free, non-GMO, all of that stuff you'll see on the label.
And some would be vegan friendly?
Yes, some are vegan friendly. And again, you'll see that usually on the label as well. But if not, just obviously within the ingredients, you'll know.
Great.
Yeah.
Probiotics, are they safe to take for a long time?
Yeah, honestly, like the thing is with probiotics, what we're learning now is when you're not taking a probiotic supplement, you are not like, it's not replenishing the bacteria in your gut. So you need to make sure that as long as you're able to, you are having a probiotic as well as supplementing, or, you know, with food, with actual supplements, with a prebiotic fiber as well to help grow that gut bacteria. So if you are taking it, and depends on the person, again, there's some people that I have on probiotics for a long time because they have to be. Their gut has gone through so much. It's gone through a lot of trauma, and we need to do that for a long term. For other people, I'm going to be honest, most of my clients, I'd say, probably remember for about a month and then tend to forget. So I try, but yeah, I'd say if you can be taking that, but making sure you are adding some of that good prebiotic fiber too, if you can.
Great. And so kefir, from like a nutrition standpoint, is something you can take that would fall under a probiotic category. Is that correct?
Yeah, I absolutely love, like, if I have to choose between yogurt and kefir, I would always go for that, because I find that it has, like, just the probiotic content, usually when you're looking at them, tends to be a little bit better. Again, always depends on which kind you're looking at, but I do usually go for that instead of a yogurt.
And kefir is dairy, like
it is dairy, yes. So it would go, and you can usually find a goat's milk one as well, I've seen. I'm not sure if you guys carry it, but I do. Have you seen that one? And again, trying to go for that organic over anything else is going to be a good option too. Yeah.
Okay, great. There's a few more here. I'm sorry, I don't think we'll be able to get to them all, everyone, but there is,
like I said, you guys are so like enthusiastic. This is great.
We did leave the care@organica.com question there. So if you do have some, especially product specific ones, they'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Yeah, I think that really covers kind of the bulk of a lot of people's questions. There's one more supplement one about maca, and is that a detoxifying agent?
I wouldn't say it's a detoxifying one. You can definitely use it as a like support with hormone regulation, and it can kind of help with more of that energy support. So if you are someone who is dealing with, you know, decreased energy or fatigue throughout the day, or maybe you're trying to cut back on caffeine, maca can be a good option as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. And with the milk thistle, how much of that dosage wise is recommended for taking daily, and how long do you prolong taking that for resistance?
Full transparency, I can't remember exactly what the dosing is for Organicas, but generally in terms of length, that's something I tell a lot of people you can kind of be on for quite a while.
Okay.
I've actually, you can finish your bottle, go through a second one. I find that especially if you are someone that's drinking alcohol, having that extra liver support, no matter what, is going to be a better option for you. And I feel like that's a lot of people right now with COVID.
Build up those livers. Yeah.
I know.
Good and strong. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for your participation tonight. It was a wonderful Q&A, and we had some great learning from Rhiannon. As we mentioned at the beginning, the recording of the presentation will be emailed out, and it will permanently be on our YouTube channel, so you can reference back to it. If there's slides that you want to pause and take some notes, it'll be there. And a coupon from Organica to be used at any Nature's Fair markets for some discount on their great products. So have a wonderful evening. This is our first wellness webinar of 2021. There's lots more to come, and have a great rest of your night, Rhiannon. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you guys so much. Hopefully, wow, I can't speak now all of a sudden. Hopefully everyone has a wonderful night. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, care@organica.com. Our lovely customer service team can definitely help you out.
Wonderful. Thank you, and good night, everybody.